Hi, welcome to the second part of my AutoCAD tutorial. In this video I'm going to show you how to set up model space and so you can start drawing your own house. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is click on the start drawing box over here and in we go. Okay, so in today's tutorial we're going to draw a house. There's a couple of bits of admin we need to do first just to set things up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to the big A in the top left hand corner and you're going to come down the menu to options. My face is slightly in the way there, but once you've got the options open, there are millions and millions of options, so you don't need to worry about most of these. We're going to go to user preferences, which is the 6th tab along, and what you're going to, the important bit here is to see what you're going to be drawing in. So I work in the UK construction industry. Everything's done in millimetres, certainly in the companies that I've worked for. You might be working in metres or you might be working in feet and inches depending on whereabouts in the world you live, but for this tutorial I'm going to be working in millimetres because that's what I'm used to. For most, I think everything else in here we can leave for now, we don't really need to touch it, so I'm just going to click OK. If you need to change it, you know, just click apply and then OK. And okay, the next thing we're going to do is the layers. It's good to get into the habit of making layers when you make a drawing. Sometimes you will see drawings and they're all drawn in layer 0, which is not great practice, and I'll explain why a bit later on. There's two reasons really, mainly for drawing things in layers. One is that you can change the colour of things, which makes it visually easier to see, and the other thing is for hiding and isolating layers. So if you won't always want to show everything on a drawing at the same time in the same place, and if you put things on different layers you can turn things on and off or hide them, and it's just a very useful tool. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to set up some layers. So I'll just show that again where I got that from. So we're going to come up into the middle here and layer properties. If you look at this tooltip here, you can see where underneath where it says layer properties, it says layer. So if I just come down anywhere on the screen and type in the word on my keyboard, L-A-Y-E-R, a whole list of commands come up. There's absolutely tons of them to do with layers, but the top one is layer. So if we click on that, and it brings you to the same place. So it's good to keep an eye on what the commands for things are, because you can get around AutoCAD a lot faster with commands. Anyway, so if you hover over here, this one with a little yellow star on it is new layer. So we're going to click on that, and the first layer we're going to make is, I'm going to call it walls, and I'm going to make that, so I'm going to click on the little colour and I'm going to colour it red. Okay, and then I'm going to click OK. And the other settings here, we can come on to another day. They don't really matter. I'm going to leave those alone for now. The next layer I'm going to make, I'm going to call that Windows, and I'm going to colour that in blue. And then I'm going to make one more layer. I'm going to call that Doors. So doors, and I'm going to colour that in green. You don't have to stick with these colours, but it's just going to make it easier for us to see what's going on. Okay, what else do we need to do? The snaps. Okay, you should only really need to do this once per installation of AutoCAD really, or if you have a major update. So if you come down into the middle of the screen somewhere, hold the left shift button and then right click your mouse, you will see this menu pop up, and this is the snap menu. So this determines when your cursor lights up, so it lets you draw lines to certain places. So for instance, the end points, the midpoints of lines. You'll see more, it'll make more sense in a minute when I start drawing. But what I'm going to do is come down here to snap settings, and this allows you to pick which ones happen every time. The other menu just lets you pick one options as one-offs. This menu lets you pick the defaults. So I want endpoint and I want midpoint. They're two of the most useful. Center is also very useful for doing anything with circles. I also like extension and perpendicular. I find it's not too helpful to have everything ticked, because you end up never being able to draw the line exactly where you want because you have too many options. So on something that's very small, you might find that the endpoint and the midpoint are very close together and you get the wrong one. Anyway, so I'm going to leave those picked. So endpoint, midpoint, center, intersection, perpendicular, and extension. So I've got those 6 selected, and I'm going to press OK. Now I'm going to come up to the layers menu. Before we clicked on layer properties, now I'm going to click on this bar at the top here, this drop down. So that drop down shows you the current selected layer. So if I was to start drawing now, I would be drawing in layer 0 because that's the one that's selected. So I don't want to draw in layer 0 because I'm going to draw some walls now for my house. So I'm going to click on walls, and now walls comes up as the selected layer. I'm going to draw a plan of the house first. So I'm going to pick rectangle because I'm going to have a nice boring rectangular house, and I've decided my house is going to be 5 meters wide by 8 meters long. Right, so I'm going to left click somewhere, and the first thing I'm going to do is press I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to press the at button. And now if you see on my little tooltip, on my little box near the cursor, I've got an at, and that means it changes it from being absolute to incremental. So before, when I clicked 5,000, it started my rectangle 5,000 away from the origin, which is down here, which isn't what I wanted. So now it's going to do incrementally from wherever I clicked the first time. So again, I'm going to click 5,000. So 1, 2, 3, comma. And then I'm going to click, I'm going to choose, I think 8,000, we said in 8 meters, so 8,000. And I'm going to hit space again. So now I'm going to scroll out with my mouse wheel, and that is the floor plan of my house. Just to check that I have drawn it as big as I thought I had, I'm going to come up here to the measure. It's the default on AutoCAD 2020 is this sort of quick measure. So if you just click on it and hover it around, it'll show you lots of things at once. So there you can see that it is 8 meters by 5 meters. I don't personally like that quick thing. I'm not really used to it. I prefer the old-fashioned distance. You can also do area and all sorts of other things to this. So if you come down here and click distance, you can pick up the snaps, and it will also tell you it's 8 meters by 5 meters. So I'm going to press escape to get rid of that. And so the first thing I'm going to do is draw the inside of my walls.